Last season, I went to over 100 football matches. So many new football stadiums, so many new countries, and so many different cultures. But today, I thought I'd go through some of the best experiences and some of the worst experiences. If there's a YouTube channel out there who's been to more stadiums than me last season, then round of applause to you, because I'd be surprised. And I'd like to think that I know what a good and bad atmosphere is. From going to America, Portugal, Czech Republic, France, Belgium, there's been so many football experiences, I can continue naming the countries. We'll go through a good one, then a bad one, good one, bad one, vice versa, etc. You know what I'm on about. Comment down below what football clubs you want me to visit next season, because I will go there. You know me, I'm crazy, I will travel. I'm gonna need a credit card, but I'm gonna find my way there. Let's start off with one of the best experiences I've ever had in football, and that was Lazio in the Champions League fixture versus Atletico Madrid, where the game ended 1-1, and it ended with a 95th minute equaliser by the Lazio goalkeeper. Just imagine that for your club, let alone it being a header, and the manner of how they drew the game. It was incredible. It's absolutely so special, but it wasn't just the result and the moment at the end. It was the first Champions League fixture for Lazio for so many years. Hearing that Champions League anthem ringing around Stadio Olimpico, and then the big roar from the fans, which you'll now hear. It was spine-tingling, it was goosebumps galore, and trust me, it's such a special club, despite what the media say. I know I get a lot of hate for going to that football club, but my word, I love it. Every single time I go, I know the chants, I know what they're on about, and I'll tell you this, I've been amongst the ultra section, and I think the bad reputation they get is not deserved. It's like how people think English fans were 20 years ago, hooligans, troublemakers galore. You go to an England game now, home or away, there's no trouble. There is absolutely no trouble. Every single fan base has a minority of people which shouldn't be associated with the club, but that should not be taken away by the majority of special Lazio fans which are inside that stadium. And the anthem before the game, incredibly special. What a special club! Going back to the game, Atletico Madrid went 1-0 up, but the fans would not stop singing. It was so positive. I don't think anyone expected a moment at the end, but when we saw Provedel come out, I think we were all dreaming at that point. And once that hit the back of the net, and knowing who that goal scorer was, I think everyone just lost their minds. Right, let's stop being positive now, down to a negative experience. Now, do you remember where I went to a Dutch fixture where I got kicked out by some security guards? Yeah, we're talking about De Gracia. I may have pronounced that wrong. I went inside the stadium like any game, complimenting the club. I really liked the stadium. It had a really good feel factor walking in there. It felt a proper football ground. I had a beer with my friend, and then we went to the seat. I had a few clips. Next thing you know, I've got a tap on the shoulder, and it's a security guard dragging me out with about 6, 7, 8 security guards. It's absolutely crazy. The whole experience from that point was just so confusing in my mind, because I know I'm very innocent. I know I've done nothing wrong. I was saying that I was dangerous, but let me just point this out now. Me and the club have spoken since that video went live. We've made it all clear. I'm actually going to the club in about a week or two time to make up with all things. They've invited me in hospitality, absolutely everything. They've apologised with everything which went wrong and embarrassing me. I just couldn't believe what was going on at that time, but it's all made up now. And actually, when you know they've learned from their mistake, they've actually introduced something for the new season where groundhoppers or neutral fans who don't necessarily support that club, like I was, they've introduced a section of that ground where you can buy tickets and watch the match without being a supporter of that football club, which I think is brilliant. And they introduced that all due to my situation. That is a sign of a football club who have made amends from their mistakes, and I really respect the club for that, and I'm really looking forward to returning. It wasn't a pleasant experience at all, especially spending all of that money on hotels, transports, tickets for the game. Honestly, absolutely everything to do with it. It was a bit of a slap in the face, to be honest, which was gutting, but we've come to a solution, and I'm not going to hold any grudges. I'm looking forward to returning, as I've said. Let's go back to one of my best experiences last year, and that was actually a really local game, the East Anglian derby between Ipswich and Norwich, where Ipswich have not beaten Norwich for about 14, 15 years now, but the atmosphere was incredible, and I went into that game as a local lad, not really expecting much. I thought it was a bit of a handbags, tin pot derby. How wrong was I in the end, because that was incredible. The passion from the supporters, the away fans, I thought it was an all-round brilliant game. 4 goals and it ended 2-2. It had absolutely everything. If there was a game in England where I look back on and I think, okay, that was a good game to attend and a really good experience, it's Ipswich Norwich. I think that really pleasantly surprised me. It doesn't get the respect it deserves, but after experiencing it myself, it's got my respect. Going back to a bad experience now, my second one on that list, and of course, I'm going to mention it early, it's the England-Spain game, which is still fresh in the mind, so I think we should move move on very rapidly. I think we can all tell how that one feels. Losing back-to-back Euro finals, like when you deep it and you think about it, it's like, why always us? Why? We've come so close twice now in a row. I can accept this one more because Spain were the better side. I can accept it more than the Italy one. But then again, the pain still doesn't go away when you know you are literally moments away from extra time, potentially penalties. We've already won a penalty shootout, but Spain are Spain and they were brilliant. They deserved it. They won every single game in that tournament and you can't fault it. They were the best team. The whole experience building up to that final, even the sing songs before the match, I thought it was incredible. It was a good experience until the time where they made it 2-1 in like the 86th minute, but we don't talk about it now. Let's move back onto a positive one. I need some positivity. Oh my God, this game, Czech Republic, the Prague derby. When you talk about European football derbies, you want to experience tifos, pyros, good football fans, passion. It's the Prague derby for you, and that one was one of the best games I've ever been to in my life. The day before the match, we had a stadium tour, we watched training, and then on the match day, we got our football shirt from the club, customised as Fusion Josh 10. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. The club treated me fantastically, and the access I had pitch side, seeing the amount of tifos before the game, at half time, during the game, the pyros going off, it was an absolutely mental experience to see, even from the away fans' perspective. It was incredible. All round, the Prague derby is one of the best derbies in Europe, and I'm so glad to have experienced that. And let's not forget here, the game was fantastic. I think Sparta Prague won 3-2 in fact. I think it went to extra time and all, but I'll tell you what, it was a fantastic game, fantastic experience. The tifos were incredible, and I still don't know to this day how ultras come up with these designs, make them and execute them. How do they do this? I can understand the fans generating all of this money to create one, but how do you go about physically making one? That's what I'd love to make a video on, but it's an ultra group and they're very disclosed groups, and this goes for anyone. I don't think I'll be able to have the access to actually see how a tifo is made. But my word, I'd love to make a video on that. That's one of my ideas, but one which is very difficult to execute. Back to a negative experience, and it's Norwich versus Leeds. I'm not too sure if I've actually made a video on the channel. It's actually one of the only videos of last season where I made a full video on the experience, but I thought it was that bad where I just really did not want to upload it because the content I produced, there was nothing going on during the game. I was right next to the Leeds fans. They were okay. They weren't great, if I'm honest. Norwich fans were silent the whole game, especially when it's a playoff first leg for your club, Carrow Road. You'd expect the place to be bouncing, when in reality, it was far from that. It's very hit and miss on what you get in English football. Sometimes you get a good atmosphere. It all depends on what happens on the pitch. If you've got players actually fighting out, attacking games, then the fans are going to be up for it. If it's going to be stalemate, both teams are too scared to attack, then the fans are going to be on edge and won't create an atmosphere. That's kind of how English football works. Unless you are the away team winning a throw-in the final third of the pitch, you won't get scenes like that in European football. The celebrations from a throw-in in the final third, it's the away side. If you're a match-going English fan, then you know what I mean. And oh my word, we're going to be talking about a really good football match I attended. And actually, if you see behind me a little bit, Valente match-worn football shirt from Groningen. I went to the match where they got promoted, pitch invasion, everything. I had pitch side access all areas. After the game when they got promoted, it was incredible. But before the game, I was walking around the pitch, getting recognised by all of these Groningen fans, just walking around. It was one of them moments where I was like, wow, this is just incredible. The reception from the fans, how kind you all are, the Dutch people I absolutely love, already having that connection because of Luciano Valente. We're really good friends, I like to think anyway. And then witnessing the game, which potentially could see Groningen go straight back up to the Eredivisie, I could not miss it, and seeing that for myself, and then being in that full-time whistle where it was about to finish, I thought I'd walk around that pitch and just stand where the players and managers are. I think that's the last thing they care about if I was just going to be standing there, but I saw all the media go out there and I thought, I'm going to join in the action there, and that's where I went. It was an incredible experience, seeing all the emotion from the players, the staff, the fans, the raw, just after the game, the pitch invasion, how passionate everyone was. It was such a spectacle to see as a football fan. When you think of it as an Englishman going over to a Dutch football match, in that environment, seeing the players celebrate, know who you are from the videos, it is just no better feeling, if I'm honest. I was so happy for the fans, I was so happy for Luciano because he's worked so hard and actually played that game whilst being injured. I spoke to him before the game actually, and he was saying to me how he's playing the game at literally about half injured. Apparently he'd done something to his groin and he was still playing through it because he wanted to get the club promoted and is one of the key players for the side. So you put that situation together, what's at stake and the sacrifices made for what ultimately happened in promotion. It's incredible. What a story it is. Back to a negative experience, we got Puskas Academy in Hungary. I wouldn't say it was a bad experience whatsoever because the stadium was absolutely fantastic. It went viral for a reason, for its architecture, but the atmosphere, the fans, or shall I say the lack of fans, the atmosphere which was no atmosphere. It wasn't a good fan experience, which I'm basically basing this off. If you're going to go there for atmosphere, I'd be very disappointed because you're not going to get that. It is probably the worst atmosphere I've heard all season, but they're known for being a very plastic club, fake fans or whatever. From the comment section, may I just add, hence why I'm doing this. But when you talk about an experience overall, I thought the stadium was great. It's literally slap bang in the middle of nowhere. I think it's about 30 kilometers away from Budapest, so we had to hire a car, drive out there. It's in a slap bang of a town with a population of about 2,000-3,000 people. It's a beautiful, beautiful stadium, but when we're talking about fan experiences, there was a lack of fans. It wasn't a great fan experience, but nevertheless, I had a great time. But one of the worst side of atmospheres when you talk about a fan experience. And moving on to the final positive experience, and that was watching Vitesse versus NAC, the big derby day. It was a really intense atmosphere. Seeing the pyros and the tifo before the game was exceptional. No, it was not a sellout, but the fans, the noise, the amount of passion, because they know Vitesse. At the time, the fans did not know if they were going to see their club again in the next week or two. And still to this day, I think they're now saved. They are relegated, do not get me wrong, but at least the fans have got the club back for now. So watching that derby, which could potentially be the last derby which happens between the two sides, despite the defeat, I thought they played a really good game. As I said, the pyro show, the fans, the passion, it's what you want to see as a football fan, and that's exactly what we saw. It was fantastic. And moving on to the final bad fan experience, and that was going to West Ham versus Bournemouth. My word, the Premier League is so overrated. And if any foreign football fans are watching this and you think the Premier League is all this and that with football fans, it's really not, and I promise you that. Everyone thinks that Liverpool's got a great atmosphere. I'm going to be honest, they really don't. If you're a tourist going to any games in England and you're expecting flashy pyro, tifos, organised choreography, anything like that, you're not going to get it. And you've got to properly know and feel what it's like to actually support an English club. But anyway, my experience at West Ham Bournemouth, and don't get me wrong, I did not pick the best game whatsoever, because West Ham actually, if you talk about away fans, are probably one of the best away fans in the league. But the atmosphere when you've got a sellout 60,000 stadium, it was abysmal, if I'm honest. I'm not expecting a good atmosphere, do not get me wrong, but as I'm talking about the worst fan experiences, it's probably that one. Especially when you're watching a football match that far out too. Fan experience yet again, may I just add, it wasn't great. When I go to all of these European football clubs and everyone says that they would really want to come and watch the Premier League, see the atmosphere and just see what it's like, I sometimes have to just reply to them and just say, it's not as good as what people make it out to be. Liverpool, for example, 9 times out of 10, I genuinely think that will be a library. But nevertheless, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. There are my 5 good experiences and 5 bad experiences from last season. I went to over 100 football matches, over 20 countries. It's absolutely ridiculous stats, but that's exactly what I've done. Where do you want me to visit next season? Leave it in the comment section down below. Leave a like on this video, subscribe. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers and I need your help. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye. Where shall I go next?